Leviticus chapter 1, burnt offering. The Lord called Moses and spoke to him from the tent of the meeting. Speak to Israelites and tell them, when any of you brings an offering of the livestock to the Lord, you shall bring your offering from the herd or from the flock. If a person offering is a burnt offering from the herd, the offering must be made without blemish. The individual shall bring it into the entrance of the tent of the meeting to find the favor with the Lord. And shall lay a hand on the head of the burnt offering so that it may be acceptable to make atonement for the one who offers it. The bull shall then be slaughtered before the Lord, and Aaron's son, the priest, shall offer its blood by splashing it on all the side of the altar, which is at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. Then the burnt offering shall be flayed and cut into pieces. After Aaron's sons, the priest, have put burning embers on the altar and laid wood on them. They shall lay the pieces of the meat together with the head of the suet on the top of the wood and the embers on the altars. But the inner organ and the shank shall be washed with water. The priest shall then burn all of it on the altar as a burnt offering, a sweet-smelling obligation to the Lord. If a person's burnt offering is from the flock, that is a sheep and the goat, the offering must be made without the blemish. It shall be slaughtered on the north side of the altar before the Lord, and Aaron's sons, the priest, shall splash its blood on all the side of the altar. When it has been cut into pieces, the priest shall lay these together with the head and the suet on the top of the wood and the embers on the altar. But the inner organ and the shank shall be washed with water. The priest shall then offer all of it, burning it on the altar, either as a burnt offering or sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord. If a person offers a bird as a burnt offering to the Lord, the offering brought must be a turtle, dove, and pigeons. Having brought it to the altar, the priest shall wring its head up and burn it on the altar. The blood shall be drained out against the side of the altar. He shall remove its crimson by means of its feathers and throw it on the ash heap at the east side of the altar. Then, having torn the bird open by its wings without separating the harvest, the priest shall burn it on the altar on the wood and the embers. It is a burnt offering, a sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord. Leviticus chapter 2, grain offering. When anyone brings a grain offering to the Lord, the offering must consist of the bran of flour. The offerer shall pour oil on it and put a frankincense over it, and bring it to Aaron's sons, the priest. A priest shall take a handful of the brown flour and oil, together with all the frankincense, and shall burn it on the altar as a token of the offering, a sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord. The rest of the grain offering belonged to the Aaron and his sons, a most holy portion from the oblation to the Lord. When you offer a grain offering baked in an oven, it must be in the form of the unleavened cakes made of the brown flour mixed with oil, or of unleavened wafers spread with oil. If your offering is a grain offering that is fried on a griddle, it must be of the brown flour mixed with the oil and unleavened. Break it into pieces and pour oil over it. It is a grain offering. If your offering is a grain offering that is prepared in a pan, it must be made of brown flour and fried in oil. A grain offering that is made in any of these ways you shall bring to the Lord. It shall be presented to the priest, who shall take it to the altars. The priest shall then remove from the grain offering a token and burn it to the altar as the sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord. The rest of the grain offering belonged to the Aaron and his sons, a most holy portion from the oblation to the Lord. Every grain offering that you present to the Lord shall be unleavened, for you shall not burn any leaven or honey as an oblation to the Lord. Such you may present to the Lord in the offering of the first produce that is processed, but they are not be placed on the altar for the pleasing odor. You shall season all your grain offering with salt. Do not let the salt of the covenant with your God be lacking from your grain offering. On every offering you shall offer salt. If you offer grain offering or first live fruit to the Lord, you shall offer it the form of the fresh early grain, roasted by fire and crushed as a grain offering of your first live fruit. You shall put oil on it and sell frankincense on it. It is a grain offering. The priest shall then burn some of the broth and oil together with all the frankincense as a token of the offering an oblation to the Lord. Leviticus chapter 3 is a communion sacrifice. If a person offering is a communion sacrifice, if it is brought from the herd, be it a male or a female animal, it must be presented without the blemish before the Lord. The one offering it shall lay a hand on the head of the offering. It shall then be slaughtered at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. Aaron's son, the priest, shall splash its blood on all sides of the altar. From the communion sacrifice, the individual shall offer as an oblation to the Lord the fat that covers the inner organs and all the fat that adheres to them, as well as the 2 kidneys with the fat on them near the loins and the lobe of the liver, which is removed with the kidneys. Aaron's sons shall burn this on the altar with the burnt offering that is on the wood and the embers, as a sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord. If a communion sacrifice one offers to the Lord is from the flock, be it a male or a female animal, it must be presented without blemish. If one presents the lamb as an offering, that person shall bring it before the Lord. And after laying a hand on the head of the offering, it shall then be slaughtered before the tent of the meeting. Aaron's son shall splash its blood on all the sides of the altars. From the communion sacrifice, the individual shall present as an oblation to the Lord its fat, the holy fatty tail which is removed close to the spine, the fat that covers the inner organs and all the fat that adheres to them, as well as the 2 kidneys with the fat on them near the loins and the lobe of the liver, which is removed with the kidneys. The priest shall burn this on the altar as a full an oblation to the Lord. If a person offering is a goat, the individual shall bring it before the Lord. And after laying a hand on its head, it shall then be slaughtered before the tent of the meeting. Aaron's sons shall splash its blood on it on the side of the altar. From this, the one sacrificing shall present an offering as an oblation to the Lord, the fat that covers the inner organs and all the fat that adheres to them, as well as the 2 kidneys with the fat on them near the loins and the lobe of the liver, which is removed with the kidneys. The priest shall burn this on the altar as a food, sweet-smelling oblation. All the fat belongs to the Lord. This shall be a perpetual ordinance for your descendants wherever they may dwell. You shall not eat any fat or any blood. Leviticus chapter 4, a purification offering. The Lord is said to Moses, tell the Israelites, when a person inadvertently does wrong by violating any one of the Lord's prohibitions, for the anointed priest, if it is the anointed priest who does wrong and thereby make the people guilty, he shall offer the Lord an unblemished bull of the herd as a purification offering for the wrong he committed. Bringing the bull the entrance of the tent of the meeting before the Lord, he shall lay his hand on its head and slaughter it before the Lord. The anointed priest shall then take some of the bull's blood and bring it into the tent of the meeting. Where dipping his finger in the blood, he shall sprinkle some of it 7 times before the Lord toward the veil of the sanctuary. The priest shall also put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of the fragrant incense, which stand before the Lord in the tent of the meeting. The rest of the bull's blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar for burnt offering, which is at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. He shall remove all the fat of the bull of the purification offering, the fat that covers the inner organs, and all the fat that adheres to them, as well as the 2 kidneys with the fat on them near the loins, and the lobe of the liver, which is removed with the kidneys. Just as the fat pieces are removed from the ox of the communion sacrifice, the priest shall burn these on the altar for the burnt offerings. But the hide of the bull and its meat with its head, shanks, inner organs, and dung, that is, the whole bull, shall be brought outside the camp to the clean place where the ashes are deposited, and there will be burnt in a wood of fire. At the place of the ash heap, there it must be burnt for the communities. If the whole community of the Israel errs inadvertently and without even being aware of it, violate any of the Lord's prohibition, and thus are guilty. When the wrong that was committed becomes known, the community shall offer a bull of the whole as a purification offering. They shall bring it before the tent of the meeting. The elder of the community shall lay their hands on the bull's head before the Lord when the bull has been slaughtered before the Lord. The anointed priest shall bring some of its blood into the tent of the meeting, and dipping his finger in the blood, he shall sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord toward the veil. He shall also put some of the blood on the horn of the altar, which is before the Lord in the tent of the meeting. The rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar for burnt offering, which is at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. He shall remove all of its fat and burn it on the altars, doing with it this bull just as he did with the other bull of the purification offering. He will do the same things. Thus the priest shall make atonement on their behalf, that they may be forgiven. This bull shall also be brought outside the camp and burned, just as the first bull. It is the purification offering for the assemblies, for the tribal leader. Should the tribal leader do wrong inadvertently by violating any one of the prohibition of the Lord his God, and thus be guilty, when he learns of the wrong he committed, he shall bring as his offering an unblemished male goat. He shall lay his hand on his head, and it shall be slaughtered in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered before the Lord. It is a purification offering. The priest shall then take some of the blood of the purification offering on his finger and put it on the horns of the altar for burnt offering. The rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altars. All of its fat he shall burn on the altar like the fat of the communion sacrifice. Thus the priest shall make atonement on the tribal leader's behalf for his wrong, that he may be forgiven, for the general populace. If anyone of the general populace does wrong inadvertently by violating one of the Lord's prohibition, and thus is guilty, upon learning of the wrong committed, that person shall bring an unblemished she-goat as the offering for the wrong committed. The wrongdoer shall lay a hand on the head of the purification offering, and the purification offering shall be slaughtered at the place of the burnt offering. The priest shall then take some of its blood on his finger and put it on the horns of the altar for the burnt offering. The rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar. He shall remove all the fat just as the fat is removed from the communion sacrifice. The priest shall burn it on the altar for a sweet odor to the Lord. Thus the priest shall make atonement so that the individual may be forgiven. If, however, a person brings a lamb as a purification offering, that person shall bring an unblemished female ant. Lay your hand on its head, it shall be slaughtered as a purification offering in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. The priest shall then take some of the blood of the purification offering on his finger and put it on the horns of the altar for the burnt offering. The rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar. He shall remove all its fat just as the fat is removed from the lamb of the communion sacrifice. The priest shall burn these on the altar with the other oblation for the Lord. Thus the priest shall make atonement on the person's behalf for the wrong committed, that the individual may be forgiven. Leviticus chapter 5, Special cases for the purification offering. A person either having sinned or come to know something does wrong by the refusing as a witness under oath to give information. That individual shall bear the penalties. Or if someone without being aware of it touches any unclean things, such as the carcass of unclean wild animals, or an unclean domestic animal, or unclean swarming creates and thus is unclean and guilty. Or if someone without being aware of it touches some human uncleanness, what kind of uncleanness this may be, and then subsequently becomes aware of guilt. Or if someone without being aware of it rationally utters an oath with bad and good intent, what kind of oath this may be, and then subsequently becomes aware of guilt in regard to any of these matters. When someone is guilty in regard to any of these matters, that person shall confess the wrong committed, and make a reparation to the Lord for the wrong committed, a female animal from the flock, a lamb and a she-goat as a purification offering. Thus the priest shall make atonement on the individual behalf for the wrong. If, however, the person cannot afford an animal of the flock, that person shall bring to the Lord as a reparation for the wrong committed to turtle doves or 2 pigeons, one for the purification offering and the other for a burnt offering. The guilty party shall bring them to the priest, who shall offer the one for the purification offering first, wringing its head at the neck, yet without breaking it out. He shall sprinkle some of the blood of the purification offering against the side of the altar. The rest of the blood shall be drained out against the base of the altar. It is a purification offering. The other blood he shall offer as a burnt offering according to the procedure. Thus the priest shall make atonement on the person's behalf for the wrong committed, so that the individual may be forgiven. If the person is unable to afford even 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, that person shall bring as an offering for the wrong committed 1/10 of the alpha of the brown flour for the purification offering. The guilty party shall not put oil or place frankincense on it, because it is a purification offering. The individual shall bring it to the priest, who shall take a handful as a token of the offering and burn it on the altar with the other oblation for the Lord. It is a purification offering. Thus the priest shall make atonement on the person's behalf for the wrong committed in any of the above cases, so that the individual may be forgiven. The rest of the offering, like the grain offering, shall belong to the priest. Reparation offering. The Lord said to Moses, when a person commits sacrilege by inadvertently misusing any of the Lord's sacred object, The wrongdoer shall bring to the Lord as a reparation unblemished lamb from the flock. At the established value in the silver shekel according to the sanctuary shekels as a reparation offering. The wrongdoer shall also restore what has been misused of the sacred object, adding a fifth of its value, and give this to the priest. Thus the priest shall make atonement for the person with the lamb of the reparation offering, so that the individual may be forgiven. If someone does wrong and violates one of the Lord's prohibition without realizing it, that person is guilty and shall bear the penalties. The individual shall bring to the priest an unblemished lamb of the flock at the established value for reparation offering. The priest shall then make atonement on the offerer's behalf for the error inadvertently and unknowingly committed, so that the individual may be forgiven. It is a reparation offering. The individual must make a reparation to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, when someone does wrong and commits sacrilege against the Lord by deceiving a neighbor about the deposit or brass or stone article, or by otherwise retaining a neighbor's good unjustly, or if having found a lost article, the person lies about it, swearing falsely about any of the things that the person may do wrong. When someone has thus done wrong and is guilty, that person shall restore the thing that was stolen, the item unjustly retained, the item left as a deposit, or the lost article that was found. Or whatever else the individual swore falsely about, that person shall make full restitution of the thing itself, and add 1/5 of its value to it, giving it to the owner at the time of the reparation. Then the person shall bring to the priest as a reparation to the Lord unblemished lamb of the flock at the established value as a reparation offering. The priest shall make atonement on the person's behalf before the Lord, so that the individual may be forgiven for whatever was done to incur guilt. Leviticus chapter 6, daily burnt offering. The Lord said to Moses, give Aaron and his son the following command. This is the ritual for the burnt offering that is to remain on the coals of the altar all night until the next morning, while the fire is kept burning on the altar. The priest, clothed in his linen robe and wearing linen pants underneath, shall take away the ashes to which the fire has reduced the burnt offering on the altar, and lay them at the side of the altar. Then, having taken off this garment and put on the other garment, he shall carry the ashes to the clean place outside the camp. The fire on the altar is to keep burning. It must not go out. Every morning the priest shall put a firewood on it. On this he shall lay out the burnt offering and burn the fat of the communion offering. The fire is to be kept burning continuously on the altar. It must not go out. The grain offering. This is the ritual of the grain offering. Aaron's sons shall offer it before the Lord in front of the altar. A priest shall then take from the grain offering a handful of the brown flour and oil, together with all the frankincense that is on it. And this he shall burn on the altar as a token of the offering, sweet aroma to the Lord. The rest of it Aaron and his sons may eat, but it must be eaten unleavened in a sacred place. In a court of the tent of the meeting they shall eat it. It shall not be baked with leaven. I have given it to them as their portion from the oblation for the Lord. It must be holy, like a purification offering and a reparation offering. Every male of the Aaron descendant may eat of it perpetually throughout your generation as their rightful due from the oblation for the Lord. Whatever touches the oblation becomes holy. High priest, the daily grain offering. The Lord said to Moses, This is the offering that Aaron and his sons shall present to the Lord on the day he is anointed, on the 10th of the alpha of the brown flour of the for the regular grain offering. Half of it in the morning and half of it in the evening. You shall bring it well kneaded and fried in oil on the griddle, having broken the offering into pieces. You shall present it as a sweet aroma to the Lord. The anointed priest descended from Aaron who succeeded him shall do likewise. This is the Lord dear forever. The offering shall be wholly burnt. Every grain offering of praise shall be a whole offering, it may not be eaten. The purification offering. The Lord said to Moses, Tell Aaron and his sons that this is a ritual for the purification offering at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. There also before the Lord shall the purification offering be slaughtered, it most holy. The priest who offers the purification offering shall eat of it. He shall be eaten in a sacred place in the court of the tent of the meeting. Whatever touches its flesh becomes holy. If any of its blood spattered on a garment, the stained part must be washed in a sacred place. A clay vessel in which it has been boiled shall be broken. If it is boiled in a copper vessel, this shall be scalded afterward and rinsed with water. Every male of the priestly line may eat it. It is most holy. But no purification offering of which some blood has been brought into the tent of the meeting to make atonement in the sanctuary shall be eaten. It must be burned with fire. Leviticus chapter 7, Reparation Offering. This is the ritual for the reparation offering. It is most holy. At the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered, the reparation offering shall also be slaughtered. Its blood shall be splashed on all sides of the altar. All of its fat shall be offered, the fat tail, the fat that covers the inner organs, and all the fat that adheres to them, as well as the 2 kidneys with the fat on them near the loins and the lobe of the liver, which is removed with the kidneys. The priest shall burn this on the altar as the oblation to the Lord. It is a reparation offering. Every male of the priestly line may eat of it, but it must be eaten in a sacred place. It is most holy. Because the purification offering and the reparation offering are alike, both have the same rituals. The reparation offering belongs to the priest who makes atonement with it. As for the priest who offers someone burnt offering, to him belongs to hide the burnt offering that is offered. Also, every grain offering that is baked in an oven or made in a pan or on griddle shall belong to the priest who offers it. Whereas all grain offerings that are mixed with oil or are dry shall belong to the order of Aaron's sons without the distinctions. Communion sacrifice. This is the ritual for the communion sacrifice that is offered to the Lord. If someone offers it for the thanksgiving, that person shall offer it with unleavened cakes mixed with oil. Unleavened white flour spread with oil, and the cakes made of the brown flour mixed with oil and well kneaded. One shall present this offering together with the loaves of the leavened bread along with the thanksgiving communion sacrifice. From this the individual shall offer one bread of each type of the offering as a contribution to the Lord. This shall belong to the priest who splashed the blood of the communion offering. The meat of the thanksgiving communion sacrifice shall be eaten on the day it is offered. None of it may be kept till the next morning. However, if the sacrifice offered is a votive or a voluntary offering, it shall be eaten on the day the sacrifice is offered. And on the next day, what is left over may be eaten. But what is left over of the meat of the sacrifice on the third day must be burned in the fire. If indeed any flesh of the communion sacrifice is eaten on the third day, it shall not be accepted. It will not be reckoned to the credit of the one offering it, rather it becomes a desecrated meat. Anyone who ate of it shall bear the penalties. Should the meat touch anything unclean, it may not be eaten, but shall be burned in the fire. As for the one other meat, all who are unclean may eat of it. If, however, someone in the state of the uncleanness eat the meat of the communion sacrifice belonging to the Lord, that person shall be cut off from the people. Likewise, if someone touches anything unclean, whether it be human uncleanness or an unclean animal or unclean loathsome creature, and then eat the meat of the communion sacrifice belonging to the Lord, that person too shall be cut off from the people. Prohibition against blood and fat. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, you shall eat the fat of any ox and sheep or goat. Although the fat of the animal that has died a natural death or has been killed by wild beast made put to any other use, you may not eat it. If anyone eats the fat of the animal from which oblation is made to the Lord, that person shall be cut off from the peoples. Wherever you dwell, you shall not eat any blood, whether of bull or of animals. Every person who eats any blood shall be cut off from the peoples. Portion from the communion sacrifice for priest." The Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites that the person who offers a communion sacrifice to the Lord shall be the one to bring from it the offering to the Lord. The offerer's own hands shall carry the oblation for the Lord. The person shall bring the fat together with the brisket, which is to be raised as an elevated offering before the Lord. The priest shall burn the fat on the altar, but the brisket belonged to the Aaron and his son. Moreover, from the communion sacrifice you shall give to the priest the right leg as a contribution. The one among Aaron's sons who offers the blood and the fat of the communion offering shall have the right leg as his portion. For from the communion sacrifice of the Israelites I have taken brisket that is elevated and the leg that is a contribution, and I have given them to Aaron the priest and to his son as their due from the Israelites forever. This is the priestly share from the oblation for the Lord allotted to the Aaron and his sons on the day they were brought forth to be priests of the Lord, which the Lord ordered to be given them from the Israelites on the day they were anointed as their due throughout their generation forever. A summary. This is a ritual for the burnt offering, the grain offering, the purification offering, the reparation offering, the ordination offering, and the communion sacrifice, which the Lord enjoined on Moses at the Mount Sinai at that time when he commanded the Israelites in the wilderness of the Sinai to bring their offering to the Lord. Leviticus chapter 8, the ordination of the Aaron and his son. The Lord said to Moses, "Take Aaron along with his son, the vestment, the anointing oil, the bull for purification offering, the 2 lambs, and the basket of the unleavened bread. Then assemble the whole community at the entrance of the tent of the meeting." Moses did as the Lord had commanded. When the community had assembled at the entrance of the tent of the meeting, Moses told them, "This is what the Lord has ordered to be done." Bringing forward Aaron and his sons, Moses first washed them with water. Then he put the tunic on Aaron, girded him with the straps, clothed him with the robe, placed the ephod on him, and girded him with the ephod embroidered belt, fastening the ephod on him with it. He then set the breastpiece on him, putting the Urim and the Thummim in it. He put the turban on his head, attaching the gold medallions to the sacred headband on the front of the turban, as the Lord had commanded Moses to do. Taking the anointing oil, Moses anointed and consecrated the tabernacle and all that was in it. Then he sprinkled some of the oil 7 times on the altar and anointed the altar with all its utensils, and the laver with its base to consecrate them. He also poured some of the anointing oil on Aaron's head and anointed him to consecrate him. Moses likewise brought forward Aaron's sons, clothed them with tunics, girded them with sashes, and put skull caps on them, as the Lord had commanded him to do. Ordination sacrifice. He brought forward the bull for a purification offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head. When it was slaughtered, Moses took the blood on his finger. He put it on the horns around the altar, thus purifying the altars. He poured out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. Thus he consecrated it so that atonement could be made on it. Taking all the fat that was over inner organs, as well as the lobe of the liver and the 2 kidneys with their fat, Moses burned them on the altars. The bull, however, with its hide and the flesh and dung, he burned in the fire outside the camp, as the Lord had commanded Moses to do. He next brought forward the lamb of the burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head. When it was slaughtered, Moses splashed the blood on all sides of the altars. After the ram was cut up into pieces, Moses burned the head, the cut up pieces, and the suet. After the inner organs and the sangs were washed with waters, Moses burned this remaining part of the ram on the altar. It was a burnt offering for a sweet aroma, an oblation to the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then he brought forward the second lamb, the ordination lamb, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on its head. When it was slaughtered, Moses took some of its blood and put it on the lobe of Aaron's right ears, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Moses had the son of Aaron also come forward, and he put some of the blood on the lobe of their right ears, on the thumb of their right hands, and on the big toe of their right feet. The rest of the blood he splashed on all sides of the altars. He then took the fat, the fatty tail, and all the fat over the inner organs, the lobe of the liver, and the 2 kidneys with their fat, and likewise their right thigh. From the basket of the unleavened bread that was set before the Lord, he took 1 unleavened cake, 1 loaf of the bread made with oil, and 1 wafer. And this he placed on the top of the portion of the fat and the right thigh. He then put all these things upon the palms of Aaron and his sons, whom he had raised them as an elevated offering before the Lord. When Moses had removed them from their palms, he burned them on the altar with the burnt offering. They were an ordination offering for a sweet aroma, an oblation to the Lord. He then took the brisket and raised it as an elevated offering before the Lord. This was Moses' own portion of the ordination lamb, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Taking some of the anointing oil and some of the blood that was on the altar, Moses sprinkled it upon Aaron and his vestment, as well as his son and their vestment, thus consecrating both Aaron and his vestment, and his sons and their vestment. Moses said to Aaron and his sons, "Boil the meat at the entrance of the tent of the meeting, and there eat it with the bread that is in the basket of the ordination offering. In keeping with the command I have received, Aaron and his sons shall eat of it. What is left over the meat and the bread you shall burn in the fire." Moreover, you are not to depart from the entrance of the tent of the meeting for 7 days until the days of your ordination are completed. For your ordination is to last for 7 days. What has been done today, the Lord has commanded to be done to make atonement for you. You must remain at the entrance of the tent of the meeting day and night for 7 days, carrying out the prescription of the Lord, so that you do not die, for this is the command I have received. So Aaron and his sons did all that the Lord had commanded through Moses. Leviticus chapter 9. Octave of the ordination. On the 8 days Moses summoned Aaron and his sons together with the elders of the Israel, and said to Aaron, take a calf of the whole for purification offering and the lamb for the burnt offering, both without the blemish, and offer them before the Lord. Tell the Israelites to take a he-goat for a purification offering, calf and the lamb, both unblemished earrings for a burnt offering, and an ox and a lamb for the communion sacrifice to sacrifice before the Lord, along with the grain offering mixed with oil, for today the Lord will appear to you. So they brought what Moses had ordered before the tent of the meeting when the whole community had come forward and stood before the Lord. Moses said, this is what the Lord orders you to do, that the glory of the Lord may appear to you. Approach the altar, Moses then told Aaron, and make your purification offering and your burnt offering in atonement for yourself and for your household. Then make the offering of the people in atonement for them as the Lord has commanded. Approaching the altar, Aaron first slaughtered the calf of the purification offering that was his own offering. When his son presented the blood to him, he dipped his finger in the blood and put it on the horns of the altar. The rest of the blood he poured out at the base of the altar. He then burned on the altar the fat, the kidneys, and the lobe of the liver from the purification offering, as the Lord had commanded Moses. But the flesh and the hide he burned in the fire outside the camp. Then Aaron slaughtered the burnt offering. When his sons brought him the blood, he splashed it on all sides of the altars. They then brought him the piece and the head of the burnt offering, and he burned them on the altars. Having washed the inner organs and the shanks, he burned these also with the burnt offering on the altars. Then he had the people offering brought, taking the goat that was for the people purification offering. He slaughtered it and offered it as a purification offering as before. Then he brought forward the burnt offering and offered it according to the procedure. He then presented the grain offering, taking a handful of it. He burned it on the altar in addition to the morning burnt offering. Finally, he slaughtered the ox and the ram, the communion sacrifice of the people. When his son brought him the blood, Aaron splashed it on all sides of the altar. The portion of the fat from the ox and from the lamb, the fatty tail, the covering fat, the kidneys, and the lobe of the liver, they placed on the top of the brisket. Aaron burned the fat pieces on the altar. But the brisket and the right thigh he raised as the elevated the offering before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Revelation of the Lord glories. Aaron then raised his hand over the people and blessed them when he came down from offering the purification offering, the burnt offering, and the communion offering. Moses and Aaron went into the tent of the meeting. On coming out, they blessed the people. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the peoples. Fire came forth from the Lord's presence and consumed the burnt offering and the fat on the altar. Seeing this, all the people shouted with joy and fell prostrate. Leviticus chapter 10. Nadab and Abihu. Aaron's sons Nadab and Abihu took their censers and putting incense on the fire they had set in them. They offered before the Lord an authorized fire such he had not commanded. Fire therefore came forth from the Lord's presence and consumed them, so that they died in the Lord's presence. Moses then said to Aaron, "This is as the Lord said, through those near to me I will be sanctified. In the sight of all the people I will obtain glory." But Aaron said nothing. Then Moses summoned Mishal and Elzaphan, son of Aaron's uncle Uzziel, with the order, "Come, carry your kinsmen from before the sanctuary to a place outside the camp." So they drew near and carried them by means of the tunics outside the camp, as Moses had commanded. Conduct of the priest. Moses said to Aaron and his sons Eleazar and Ithamar, "Do not dishevel your hair or tear your garment, lest you die and bring God rest also on the whole communities. While your kindred, the rest of the house of the Israel, may mourn for those whom the Lord's fire has burned up. You shall not go beyond the entrance of the tent of the meeting, else you shall die. For the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you." So they did as Moses told them. The Lord said to Aaron, "When you are to go the tent of the meeting, you and your son are forbidden by a perpetual statute throughout your generation to drink any wine or strong drink, lest you die. You must be able to distinguish between what is sacred and what is profane, and between what is clean and what is unclean. And you must be able to teach the Israelites all the statutes that the Lord has given them through Moses, the eating of the priestly portions." Moses said to Aaron and his surviving sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, "Take the grain offering left over from oblation to the Lord, and eat it beside the altar in the form of the unleavened cakes, since it is most holy. You must eat it in a sacred place, because it is your and your son dear from the oblation to the Lord. Such is the command I have received. The brisket of the elevated offering and the leg of the contribution, however, you and your son and daughters may eat in a clean place. For these have been assigned to you and your children as you dear from the communion sacrifice of the Israelites. The leg of the contribution and the brisket of the unelevated offering shall be brought in with the oblation of fat to be raised as an elevated offering before the Lord. They shall belong to you and your children as you dear forever, as the Lord has commanded." Moses inquired closely about the good of the purification offering and discovered that it had all been burned. So he was angry with the surviving son of Aaron, Eleazar and Ithamar, and said, "Why did you not eat the purification offering in the sacred place, since it is most holy? It has been given to you that you might remove the guilt of the community and make atonement for them before the Lord. Since its blood was not brought inside the sanctuary, you should certainly have eaten the offering in the sanctuary, as I was commanded." Aaron answered Moses, "Even though they presented their purification offering and burnt offering before the Lord today, still this misfortune has befallen me. Had I then eaten of the purification offering today, would it have been pleasing to the Lord?" Hearing this, Moses was satisfied. Leviticus chapter 11. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Speak to Israelites and tell them, of the land animals, these are the ones you may eat. Any animal that has hoofs you may eat, provided it is cloven-footed and chews the cud. But you shall not eat any of the following from among those that only chew the cud or only have hoofs: the camel, which indeed chews the cud, but does not have hoofs and is therefore unclean for you; the Hyrax, which indeed chews the cud, but does not have hoofs and is therefore unclean for you; the hare, which indeed chews the cud, but does not have hoofs and is therefore unclean for you; And the pig which does indeed have hoofs and is cloven-footed, but does not chew the cud and is therefore unclean for you. You shall not eat their meat, and you shall not touch their carcasses, they are unclean for you. Of the various creatures that live in the water, you may eat the following: whatever in the seas or river waters that has both fins and scales you may eat. But of the creatures that swim in the water and of animals that otherwise live in the world, whether in the sea or in the rivers, all those that lack either fins or scales are loathsome for you. And shall always be loathsome to you. Their meat you shall not eat, and their carcasses you shall loathe. Every other creature that lacks fins or scales is loathsome for you. Of the birds, these you shall loathe, they shall not be eaten, they are loathsome. The griffon vulture, the billed vulture, the black vulture, the kite, the various species of the falcons, the various species of the crows, the eagle owl, the kestrel, and the long-eared owl, and the various species of the hawks, the little owl, the cormorant, the screech owl, the barn owl, the horned owl, the ospreys, the stork, the various species of the herons, the hoopball, and the bat. The various winged insects that walk on our fours are loathsome for you, but of the various winged insects that walk on all fours, you may eat those who have legs joined above their feet for leaping on the ground. Hence of these you may eat the following: the various kind of the locust, the various kind of the bull locust, the various kind of the cricket, and the various kind of the grasshoppers. All other winged insects that have 4 legs are loathsome for you. You become unclean by the following: anyone who touches their carcasses shall be unclean until evening. And anyone who carries any part of their carcasses shall wash the garment and be unclean until evening. By all hoofed animals that are not cloven-footed or do not chew the cud, they are unclean for you. Anyone who touches them becomes unclean. Also by the various quadrupeds that walk on poles, they are unclean for you. Anyone who touches their carcasses shall be unclean until evening. And anyone who carries their carcasses shall wash his garment and be clean until evening. They are unclean for you. Of the creature that swam on the ground, the following are unclean for you: the rat, the mouse, the various kind of the lizard, the gecko, the spotted lizard, the agama, the skink, and the chameleons. Among the various swarming creatures, these are the unclean for you. Everyone who touches them when they are dead shall be unclean until evening. Everything on which one of them falls when dead becomes unclean, including any article of wood, cloth, leather, and goat hair. Any article of which use can be made. It must be immersed in water and remain unclean until evening, when it again becomes clean. Should any of these creatures fall into a clay vessel, everything in it becomes unclean, and the vessel itself you must break. And the food that can be eaten which makes contact with water, and any liquid that may be drunk in any such a vessel become unclean. Any object on which any part of their carcasses falls become unclean, if it is an oven or a stove. This must be broken to pieces. They are unclean and they shall always be unclean to you. However, a spring or a cistern for collecting water remains clean, but whoever touches such an animal's carcasses becomes unclean. If any part of their carcasses falls on any sort of the grain that is to be sown, it will remain clean. But if a grain has become moist churns, it becomes unclean to you when any part of their carcasses falls on it. When one of animals that you could otherwise eat dies of itself, anyone who touched its carcass shall be unclean until evening. And anyone who eats any part of the carcass shall wash his garment and be unclean until evening. So also anyone who carries its carcass shall wash his garment and be unclean until evening. All the creatures that swarm on the ground are loathsome and shall not be eaten. Whether it crawls on its belly, goes on all fours, or has many legs, any creature that swarms on the earth, you shall not eat them. They are loathsome. Do not make yourself loathsome by any swarming creature, nor defile yourself with them, and so become unclean by them. For I, the Lord, am your God. You shall make and keep yourselves holy, because I am holy. You shall not make yourselves unclean then by any swarming creature that crawls on the ground. Since I, the Lord, am the one who brought you up from the land of Egypt, that I might be your God, you shall be holy, because I am holy. This is the instruction for land animals, birds, and all the creatures that move about in the water, as well as any animal that swarms on the ground. That you may distinguish between the clean and the unclean, and between creatures that may be eaten and those that may not be eaten. Leviticus chapter 12, uncleanness of the childbirth. The Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites that when a woman has a child giving birth to a boy, she shall be unclean for 7 days with the same uncleanness as during her menstrual period. On the 8 days, the flesh of the boy's foreskin shall be circumcised, and then she shall spend 33 days more in a state of the blood purity. She shall not touch anything sacred nor enter the sanctuary till day of her purification are fulfilled. If she gives birth to a girl for 14 days, she shall be as unclean as during her menstrual period, after which she shall spend 66 days in a state of the blood purity. When the date of the purification for son or for daughter are fulfilled, she shall bring to the priest at the entrance of the tent of the meeting an yearling lamb for a burnt offering and a pigeon or turtle dove for a purification offering. The priest shall offer them before the Lord to make atonement for her, and thus she will clean again after her flow of the blood. Such is the ritual for the woman who gives birth to a child, male or female. If, however, she cannot afford a lamb, she may take 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, the one for burnt offering and the other for the purification offering. The priest shall make atonement for her, and thus she will again be clean. Leviticus chapter 13, scaly infection. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when someone has on the skin a mark, lesion, or blotch which appear to develop into a scaly infection, the person shall be brought to Aaron the priest or to one of the priests among his sons. If the priest, upon examination of the skin infection, finds that the hair on the infection has turned white and the infection itself appears to the deeper than the skin, it is indeed a scaly infection. The priest, on seeing this, shall declare the person unclean. If, however, the blotch on the skin is white but does not seem to deeper than the skin, nor has the hair turned white, the priest shall quarantine the afflicted person for 7 days. Should the priest, upon examination on the 7 days, find that the infection has remained unchanged in color and has not spread on the skin, the priest shall quarantine the person for another 7 days. Should the priest, upon examination again on the 7th day, find that the infection is now faded and has not spread on the skin, the priest shall declare the person clean. It was merely a scab. The person shall wash his garment and so become clean. But if after the person was examined by priest and declared clean, the scab spread at all on the skin, the person shall once more be examined by the priest. Should the priest upon examination find that scab has indeed spread on the skin, he shall declare the person unclean. It is a scaly infection. When someone is afflicted with a scaly infection, that person shall be brought to the priest. Should the priest upon examination find that there is a white mark on the skin which has turned the hair white and that there is a raw flesh in it, it is a chronic scaly infection on the skin, the priest shall declare the person unclean without the quarantines, since the individual is certainly unclean. If the scaly infection breaks out on the skin and as far as the priest can see covers all the skin of the afflicted person from head to foot, should the priest then upon examination find that scaly infection does cover the whole body, he shall declare the afflicted person clean. Since the person has turned completely white, that individual is clean. But as soon as the raw flesh appears, the individual is unclean. On observing the raw flesh, the priest shall declare the person unclean. Because the raw flesh is unclean, it is a scaly infection. If, however, the raw flesh again turns white, the person shall return to priest. Should the latter upon examination find that the infection has indeed turned white, he shall declare the afflicted person clean. The individual is clean. If a boil appeared on a person's skin which later healed, should now in the place of the boil a white mark of the reddish white blotch develop, the person shall be examined by the priest. If the latter upon examination find that it is deeper than the skin and that the hair has turned white, he shall declare the person unclean. It is a scaly infection that has broken out in the boil. But if the priest upon examination find that there is no white hair in it and that it is not deeper than the skin and is faded, the priest shall quarantine the person for 7 days. If it has then spread on the skin, the priest shall declare the person unclean. It is an infection. But if the blotch remains the same without spreading, it is merely the scar of the boil. The priest shall therefore declare the person clean. If there was a burn on a person's skin and the burned area now becomes a reddish white or white blotch, when the priest upon examination finds that the hair has turned white in the blotch and this seems to be deeper than the skin, it is scaly infection that has broken out in the burn. The priest shall therefore declare the person unclean. It is a scaly infection. But if the priest upon examination finds that there is no white hair in the blotch and that this is not appear deeper than the skin and is faded, the priest shall quarantine the person for 7 days. Should the priest upon examination on the 7 days find that it has spread at all on the skin, he shall declare the person unclean. It is a scaly infection. But if the blotch remains the same without the spread on the skin and is faded, it is merely the spot of the burn. The priest shall therefore declare the person clean, since it is only the scar of the burn. When a man or a woman has an infection on the head or in the beard, should the priest upon examination find that the infection appeared to the deeper than skin and that there is a fine yellow hair in it, the priest shall declare the person unclean. It is a scar. It is a scaly infection of the head or beard. But if the priest upon examining the scar infection find that it does not appear to be deeper than the skin, though the hair in it may not be black, the priest shall quarantine the scar-stricken person for 7 days. Should the priest upon examining the infection on the 7 days find that the scar has not spread and has no yellow hair in it and does not seem to deeper than the skin, The person shall shave but not the scald spot. Then the priest shall quarantine the scald diseased person for another 7 days. If the priest upon examining the scald on the 7 days find that it has not spread on the skin and that it does not appear to the deeper than the skin, he shall declare the person clean. The latter shall wash his garment and will thus be clean. But if the scald spread at all on the skin after the person has been declared clean, should the priest upon examination find that the scald has indeed spread on the skin, he need not look for yellow hair. The individual is unclean. If, however, the scald has remained unchanged in color and the black hair has grown in it, the disease has been healed, the person is clean, and the priest shall declare the individual clean. When the skin of the man or woman is spotted with several white blotches, if the priest upon examination finds that the blotches on the skin are pale white, it is only terror that has broken out on the skin, and the person therefore is clean. When a woman loses the hair of his head, he is simply bald on the crown and not unclean. So too, if she loses the hair on the front of his head, he is simply bald on the forehead and not unclean. But when there is a reddish white infection on his bald crown or the bald forehead, it is a scaly infection that is breaking out there. If the priest upon examination finds that the infection spot on the bald area on the crown or forehead has the same reddish white appearance as that of the scaly infection of the skin, the man has a scaly infection and is unclean. The priest shall declare him unclean. His infection is on his head. The garment of the one afflicted with the scaly infection shall be rent and the hair disheveled, and the mustache covered. The individual shall cry out, the unclean, unclean. As long as the infection is present, the person shall be unclean. Being unclean, that individual shall dwell apart, taking up a residence outside the camp. Fungal infection of the fabrics and the leathers. When a fungal infection is on garment of the wool or of the linen, or on the wrap on the wool of the linen or wool, or on hide or anything made of leathers, if the infection on the garment or hide or on the wrap of the hoops, or on any leather article is greenish or reddish, the thing is indeed a fungal infection and must be examined by the priest. Having examined the infection, the priest shall quarantine the infected article for 7 days. If the priest, upon inspecting the infection on the 7 days, finds that it has spread on the garments, or on the wrap or hoops, or on the leather, whatever be its use, the infection is harmful or fungus, the article is unclean. He shall therefore burn up the garment or the wrap or the hoop, be it of wool or linens, or any leather article which is infected. Since it is harmful fungus, it must be destroyed by fire. But if the priest, upon examination, finds that it has not spread on the garment, or on the wrap or hoops, on the leather articles, he shall give orders to have the infected article washed and then quarantined for another 7 days. If the priest, upon examination, after the infection was washed, find that it has not changed its color, even though it may not have spread, the article is unclean. You shall burn it with fire. It is frayed, be it on its inner or outer side. But if the priest, upon examination, finds that the infection has faded after the washing, he shall cut it out of the garment or leather or the wrap or hoops. If, however, the infection again appears on the garment or on the wrap or hoops or on the leather article, it is still virulent, and you shall burn the thing infected with fire. But if after washing the infection has disappeared from the garment or the wrap of the hoop or the leather article, the thing shall be washed the second time, and thus it will be clean. This is the instruction for fungal infection on a garment of the wool or linen or warp and oops or on any leather article to determine whether it is clean or unclean. Leviticus chapter 14, the purification after scaly infection. The Lord said to Moses, "This is a ritual for someone that had the scaly infection at the time of that person's purification. The individual shall be brought to the priest, who is to go outside the camp. If the priest upon inspection finds that the scaly infection has healed in the afflicted person, he shall order that to leave clean bruise as well as some cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop be obtained for the one who is to be purified. The priest shall then order that one of the bulls be slaughtered over the eaten vessel with a fresh water in it, taking living bulls with the cedar wood, the scarlet yarn, and the hyssop. The priest shall dip them, including the live bull, in the blood of the bulls that was slaughtered over the fresh water, and then sprinkle 7 times on the person to be purified from the scaly infection. When he has purified that person, he shall let the living bulls fly away over the countryside. The person being purified shall then wash his garment, shave off the old hair, and bathe in water, and so become clean. After this, the person may come inside the camp, but shall still remain outside his or her tent for 7 days. On the 7th day, the individual shall again shave off the old hair of the head, the beard, and the eyebrows. All hair must be shaved, and also wash its garment and bathe the body in water, and so become clean. On the 8th day, the individual shall take 2 unblemished male lambs, 1 unblemished yearling wool lamb, 3 tenths of the alpha of the brown flour mixed with the oil for the grain offering, and 1 lot of oil. The priest who performs the purification ceremony shall place the person who is being purified, as well as all these offerings, before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. Taking one of the male lambs, the priest shall present it as a reparation offering, along with the log of the oil, raising them as an elevated offering before the Lord. This lamb shall be slaughtered in the sacred place where the purification offering and the burnt offering are slaughtered. Because the reparation offering is like the purification offering, it belongs to the priest and it is most holy. Then the priest shall take some of the blood of the reparation offering and put it on the lobe of the right ear, the thumb of the right hand, and the big toe of the right foot of the person being purified. The priest shall also take a lot of the oil and pour some of it into the palm of his own left hand. Then dipping his right finger in the oil in his left palm, he shall sprinkle some of it with his finger 7 times before the Lord. Of the oil left in his hand, the priest shall put some on the lobe of the right ear, the thumb of the right hand, and the big toe of the right foot of the person being purified, over the blood of the reparation offering. The rest of the oil in his hand the priest shall put on the head of the one being purified. Thus shall the priest make atonement for the individual before the Lord. The priest shall next offer the purification offering, thus making atonement on behalf of the one being purified from the uncleanness. After this, the burnt offering shall be slaughtered. The priest shall offer the burnt offering and the grain offering on the altar before the Lord. Thus shall the priest make atonement for the person, and the individual will become clean. Poor person sacrifice. If a person is poor and cannot afford so much, that person shall take one male lamb for reparation offering, to be used as an elevated offering in atonement, on 1/10 on the alpha of the brown flour mixed with the oil for grain offering, a lot of the oil. And 2 turtle doves and pigeons which the individual can more easily afford, the one as a purification offering and the other as a burnt offering. On the 8th day of the purification, the person shall bring them to the priest at the entrance of the tent of the meeting before the Lord. Taking the lamb of the reparation offering along with the lot of the oil, the priest shall raise them as an elevated offering before the Lord. When a lamb of the reparation offering has been slaughtered, the priest shall take some of his blood and put it on the lobe of the right ear, on the thumb of the right hand, on the big toe of the right foot of the person being purified. The priest shall then pour some of the oil into the palm of his own left hand, and with a right finger sprinkle some of the oil in his left palm 7 times before the Lord. Some of the oil in his hand the priest shall also put on the lobe of the right ear, the thumb of the right hand, on the big toe of the right foot of the person being purified, where he had sprinkled the blood of the reparation offering. The rest of the oil in his hand the priest shall put on the head of the one being purified. Thus shall he make atonement for the individual before the Lord. Then of the turtle, doves, and pigeons, such as the person can afford. The priest shall offer one as a purification offering and the other as a burnt offering, along with the grain offering. Thus shall the priest make atonement before the Lord for the person who is being purified. This is the ritual for one afflicted with the scaly infection who has insufficient means for purification. Fungal infection of houses. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when you come into the land of the Canaan, which I am giving you to possess, if I put a fungal infection in any house of the land you occupy, the owner of the house shall come and report to the priest that something like an infection has appeared in my house. The priest shall then order the house to be cleared out before he goes in to examine the infection, lest everything in the house become unclean. Only after this is he to go to examine the house. If the priest upon inspection find the infection on the walls of the house consists of the greenish or reddish spot which seem to go deeper than the surface of the wall, he shall go out of the house to the doorway and quarantine the house for 7 days. On the 7th day the priest shall return. If upon inspection he finds that the infection has spread on the walls, he shall order the infected stone to be pulled out and cast in the unclean place outside the city. The whole inside of the house shall then be scraped, and the mortar that has been scaled up shall be dumped in an unclean place outside the city. Then other stones shall be brought and put in the place of the old stone, and new mortars obtained and plastered on the house. If the infection break out once more in the house after the stone have been pulled out and the house has been scrapped and replastered, the priest shall come, and if upon inspection he find the infection has spread in the house, it is corrosive fungus in the house, and it is unclean. He shall be pulled down, and all its stones, beams, and mortar shall be hauled away to an unclean place outside the city. Whoever enters a house while it is quarantined shall be unclean until evening. Whoever sleep or eat in such a house shall also wash his garment. If the priest find when he comes to the house that the infection has in fact not spread in the house after the plastering, he shall declare the house clean since the infection has been healed. To purify the house he shall take 2 bulls as well as cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop. One of the bulls he shall slaughter over an earthen vessel with fresh water in it. Then taking cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet yarn together with the living bull, he shall dip them all in the blood of the slaughtered bull and the fresh water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. Thus he shall purify the house with the bull's blood and the fresh water, along with the living bull, the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet yarn. He shall then let the living bird fly away over the countryside outside the city. Thus he shall make atonement for the house, and it will be clean. This is the ritual for every kind of the human scaly infection and scar, and for fungal disease in garment and houses, for marks, raisins, and blotches. To give direction when there is a state of the uncleanness and when a state of the cleanness, this is a ritual for scaly infection. Leviticus chapter 15, Sexual Uncleanness. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, Speak to Israel and tell them, when any man has a genital discharge, he is thereby unclean. Such is his uncleanness from this discharge, whether his body drains freely with the discharge or is blocked off from the discharge. His uncleanness is on him all the days that his body discharges or is blocked up from his discharge. This is his uncleanness. Any bed on which the man with the discharge lies is unclean, and any article on which he sits is unclean. Anyone who touches his bed shall wash his garment, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Whoever sits on the article on which the man with the discharge was sitting shall wash his garment, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. If the man with discharge spit on a clean person, the writer shall wash his garment, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Any saddle on which the man with the discharge lied is unclean. Whoever touched anything that was under him shall be unclean until evening. Whoever carries any such thing shall wash his garment, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Anyone who the man with discharge touched with his unrinsed hand shall wash his garment, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Earthen ware touched by the man with the discharge shall be broken, and every wooden article shall be rinsed with water. When a man with a discharge becomes clean of his discharge, he shall count 7 days for his purification. Then he shall wash his garment and bathe his body in fresh water, and so he will be clean. On the 8th day he shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, and going before the Lord to the entrance of the tent of the meeting, he shall give them to the priest, who shall offer them up, the one as a purification offering and the other as a burnt offering. Thus shall be the priest make atonement before the Lord for the man because of his discharge. When a man has an emission of the semen, he shall bathe his whole body in water and be unclean until evening. Any piece of the cloth and the leather with the semen on it shall be washed with water and be unclean until evening. If a man has a sexual relation with a woman, they shall both bathe in water and be unclean until evening. When a man has a flow of the blood from her body, she shall be in a state of the menstrual uncleanness for 7 days. Anyone who touches her shall be unclean until evening. Anything on which she lies or sits during her menstrual period shall be unclean. Anyone who touched her bed shall wash his garment, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Whoever touched any article on which she was sitting shall wash his garment, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Whether an object is on the bed or on something she sat upon, when the person touched it, that person shall be unclean until evening. If a man lies with her, he contracts her menstrual uncleanness and shall be unclean for 7 days. Every bed on which he then lies also becomes unclean. When a woman has flowed the blood for the 7 days outside her menstrual period, or when her flow continues beyond the ordinary period, as long as she suffers this unclean flow, she shall be unclean, just as during the menstrual period. Any bed on which she lies during such a flow becomes unclean as it would during her menstrual period, and any article on which she sits becomes unclean just as during her menstrual period. Anyone who touches them becomes unclean. The person shall wash his garment, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. When she becomes clean from her flow, she shall count 7 days. After this, she becomes clean. On the 8th day, she shall take 2 turtle doves or the 2 pigeons and bring them to the priest at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. The priest shall offer one of them as a purification offering and the other as a burnt offering. Thus shall the priest make atonement before the Lord for her because of her unclean flow. You shall warn the Israelites of their uncleanness, lest they die through their uncleanness by defiling my tabernacles, which is their midst. This is the law for the man who is afflicted with the chronic flow, or who has an emission of seed and thereby becomes unclean, as well as for the woman who has her menstrual period, or one who has a discharge, male or female, or also for the man who lies with the unclean woman. Leviticus chapter 16, the day of the atonement. After the death of the Aaron's 2 sons who died when they encroached on the Lord's presence, the Lord spoke to Moses and said to him, "Tell your brother Aaron that he is not to come whenever he prays into inner sanctuary, inside the veil in front of the cover on the ark, lest he die, for I reveal myself in a cloud above the ark cover." Only in this way may Aaron enter the inner sanctuary. He shall bring a bull of the herd for purification offering and a lamb for a burnt offering. He shall wear the sacred linen tunic with the linen bands underneath, gird himself with the linen sash, and put on the linen turban. But since these vestments are sacred, he shall not put them on until he has first bathed his body in water. From the Israelite community he shall receive 2 male goats for the purification offering and 1 lamb for a burnt offering. Aaron shall offer the bull his purification offering to make atonement for himself and for his household. Taking the 2 male goats and setting them before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of the meeting, he shall cast a lot to determine which one is for the Lord and which for Azazel. The goat that is determined by a lot for the Lord, Aaron shall present and offer up as a purification offering. But the goat determined by the lot for Azazel, he shall place before the Lord alive, so that with it he may make atonement by sending it up to Azazel in the desert. Thus shall Aaron offer his bull for the purification offering to make atonement for himself and for his family when he has slaughtered it. He shall take a censer full of glowing embers from the altar before the Lord, as well as a double handful of the finely ground fragrant incense, and bring them inside the veil. There before the Lord he shall put incense on the fire, so that a cloud of the incense may show the cover that is over the covenant, else he will die. Taking some of the bull's blood, he shall sprinkle it with the finger on the front of the ark cover, and likewise sprinkle some of the blood with his finger 7 times in front of the cover. Then he shall slaughter the goat of the people purification offering and bring its blood inside the veil. He shall do with it as he did with the bull's blood, sprinkling it on ark cover and in front of it. Thus he shall purge the inner sanctuary of all the Israelites, the impurities and the trespasses, including all their sins. He shall do the same for the tent of the meeting, which is set up among them in the midst of their uncleanness. No one else may be in the tent of the meeting from the time he enters the inner sanctuary to make atonement until he departs. When he has made the atonement for himself and his household, as well as for the whole Israelite assemblies, he shall come out to the altar before the Lord and purge it also, taking some of the bulls and the goat blood. He shall put it on the horns around the altar, and with his finger sprinkle some of the blood on it 7 times. Thus he shall purify it and sanctify it from the impurities of the Israelites. The scapegoat. When he has finished purging the inner sanctuary, the tent of the meeting, and the altar, Aaron shall bring forward the live goat. Laying both hands on its head, he shall confess over it all the iniquities of the Israelites and their trespasses, including all their sins, and so put them on the goat head. He shall then have it led into the wilderness by an attendant. The goat will carry out all the iniquities to an isolated region when the goat is dispatched into the wilderness. Aaron shall go into the tent of the meeting and strip out the linen vestment he had put on when he entered the inner sanctuary, and leave them in the tent of the meeting. After bathing his body with water in a sacred place, he shall put on his regular vestment, and then come out and offer his own and the people's burnt offering, in atonement for himself and for the peoples, and also burn the fat of the purification offering on the altars. The man who led away the goat for Azazel shall wash his garment and bathe his body in water. Only then may he enter the camp. The bull and the goat of the purification offering, whose blood was brought to make atonement in the inner sanctuary, shall be taken outside the camp, where the hides and the flesh and the dung shall be burned in the fire. The one who burns them shall wash his garment and bathe his body in water. Only then may be entered the camp. The fast. There shall be an everlasting statute for you on the 10th day of the 7th month. Every one of you, whether a native or a resident alien, shall humble yourselves and shall do no work. For on this day atonement is made for you to make you clean. Of all your sins you will be cleansed before the Lord. It shall be Sabbath of complete rest for you, on which you must humble yourselves, on everlasting statutes. This atonement is to be made by the priest who has been anointed and ordained to the priesthood in succession to his father. He shall wear the linen garment, the sacred vestment, and purge the most sacred part of the sanctuary, as well as the tent of meeting. And the altar he shall also make atonement for the priest and all the people of the assembly. This then shall be an everlasting statute for you. Once a year atonement shall be made on behalf of the Israelites for all their sins. And Moses did as the Lord had commanded him. Leviticus chapter 17, Sacredness of Blood. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to Aaron and his sons as well as to all Israelites, and tell them, This is what the Lord has commanded. An Israelite who slaughtered an ox on the strip out of goat, whether in the camp or outside of it, without first bring it to the entrance of the tent of the meeting to present it as an offering to the Lord in front of the Lord tabernacles, shall be judged guilty of the bloodshed. That individual has shed blood, and shall be cut off from the peoples. This is so that such a sacrifice as they used to offer in the open field, the Israelites shall henceforth bring to the Lord at the entrance of the tent of the meeting, to the priest, and sacrifice them there as a communion sacrifice to the Lord. The priest will splash the blood on the altar of the Lord at the entrance of the tent of the meeting, and burn the fat for the odor pleasing to the Lord. No longer shall they offer their sacrifice to the demons with whom they prostitute themselves. This shall be an everlasting statute for them and their descendants. Tell them, therefore, anyone, whether of the house of Israel or of the alien residing among them, who offers a burnt offering or sacrifice, without bringing it to the entrance of the tent of the meeting to offer it to the Lord, shall be cut off from the peoples. As for anyone, whether of the house of Israel or of the alien residing among them, who consumes any blood, I will set myself against that individual and will cut that person off from among the peoples. Since the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you to make atonement on the altar for yourselves, because it is the blood as life that makes atonement. That is why I have told the Israelites, no one among you, not even a resident alien, may consume blood. Anyone hunting, whether of the Israelite or of the alien residing among them, who catches an animal or a bird that may be eaten, shall pour out its blood and cover it with earth. Since the life of all flesh is in blood, I have told the Israelites, you shall not consume the blood of any flesh. Since the life of all flesh is its blood, anyone who consumes it shall be cut off. Everyone, whether a native or an alien, who ate up an animal that died of itself or was killed by a wild beast, shall wash his garment, bathe in water, and be unclean until evening, and then become clean. If one does not wash his garment and bathe, that person shall bear the penalties. Leviticus chapter 18, laws concerning sexual behavior. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and tell them, the Lord am your God. You shall do as they do in the land of Egypt, where you once lived, nor shall you do as they do in the land of the Canaan, where I am bringing you. Do not conform to their customs. My decrees you shall carry out, and my statute you shall take care to follow. I, the Lord, am your God. Keep then my statute and decrees, for the person who carries them out will find life through them. I am the Lord. None of you shall approach your close relative to have sexual intercourse. I am the Lord. You shall not disgrace your father by having intercourse with your mother. She is your own mother. You shall not have intercourse with her. You shall not have intercourse with your father's wife, for that would be disgrace to your father. You shall not have intercourse with your sister, your father's daughter, or your mother's daughter, whether she was born in your own household or born elsewhere. You shall not have intercourse with your son's daughter or with your daughter's daughters, for that would be a disgrace to you. You shall not have intercourse with the daughter whom your father's wife brought to him in his household, since she too is your sister. You shall not have intercourse with your father's sister, since she is your father's relative. You shall not have intercourse with your mother's sister, since she is your mother's relative. You shall not disgrace your father's brother by having sexual relation with his wife, since she too is your aunt. You shall not have intercourse with your daughter-in-law, she is your son's wife. You shall not have intercourse with her. You shall not have intercourse with your brother's wife, that would be a disgrace to your brother. You shall not have intercourse with the woman and also with her daughters. Nor shall you marry and have intercourse with her son's daughter or her daughter's daughters. They are related to her. This would be shameful. While your wife is still living, you shall not marry her sister as her rival and have intercourse with her. You shall not approach a woman to have intercourse with her while she is her menstrual uncleanness. You shall not have sexual relation with your neighbor's wife, defiling yourself with her. You shall not offer any of your offspring for immolation to Molech, thus profaning the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall lie with a male as with a woman, such a thing is an abomination. You shall not have a sexual relation with an animal, defiling yourself with it, nor shall a woman set herself in front of the animal to mate with it. That is perverse. Do not defile yourself by any of these things, because by them the nation whom I am driving out of your way have defiled themselves. And so the land has become defiled, and I have punished it for its wickedness, and the land has vomited out its inhabitant. You, however, must keep my statute and decrees, avoiding all these abominations, both the native and the aliens resident among you. Because the forebears inhabitant did all these abominations, and the land became defiled. Otherwise the land will vomit you out also for having defiled it, just as it vomited out the nation before you. For whoever does any of these abominations shall be cut off from the peoples. Heed my charge then not to observe the abominable customs that have been observed before your time, and thus become impure by them. I, the Lord, am your God. Leviticus chapter 19, various rules of the conduct. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the whole Israelite community and tell them, be holy, for I, the Lord your God, I am holy. Each of you revere your mother and father and keep my Sabbaths. I, the Lord, am your God. Do not turn aside to idols, nor make a molten god for yourself. I, the Lord, am your God. When you sacrifice your communion sacrifice to the Lord, you shall sacrifice it so that it is acceptable on your behalf. It must be eaten on the day of your sacrifice or on the following days. Whatever is left over until the third day shall be burned in fire. If any of it is eaten on the Thursday, it will be a desecrated offering and do not be accepted. Whoever eats of it then shall bear the penalty for having profaned what is sacred to the Lord. Such a one shall be cut off from the peoples. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not be so through that you reap the fields to its very edge, nor shall you gather the gleaning of your harvest. Likewise, you shall not pick your vineyard bare, nor gather of the grapes that have fallen. These things you shall leave for the poor and the alien. I, the Lord, am your God. You shall not steal, you shall not deceive or speak falsely to another. You shall not swear falsely by my name, thus profaning the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not exploit your neighbor, you shall not commit the robberies, you shall not withhold the overnight wage of your laborers. You shall not insult the deaf or put a stumbling block in front of the blind, but you shall not fear your God. I am the Lord. You shall not act dishonest in rendering judgment, show neither partiality to the weak nor deference to the mighty, but judge your neighbor justly. You shall not go about spreading slander among your people, nor shall you stand by idly when your neighbor's life is at stake. I am the Lord. You shall not hate any of your kindred in your heart. Reprove your neighbor openly so that you do not incur sin because of that person. Take no revenge or cherish no grudge against your own people. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. Keep my statute. Do not breed any of your domestic animals with others of the different species. Do not sow a field of you with two different kinds of the seed. And do not put on garment woven with two different kinds of the thread. If a man has a sexual relation with a female slave who has been acquired by another man, but has not yet been redeemed or given her freedom, an investigation shall be made. They shall not be put to death because she has not been freed. The man shall bring to the entrance of the tent of the meeting as his reparation to the Lord a lamb as a reparation offering. With the lamb of the reparation offering, the priest shall make atonement before the Lord for the wrong the man has committed, so that he will be forgiven for the wrong he has committed. When you come into the land and plant any fruit tree there, first look upon its fruit as if it was uncircumcised. For 3 years it shall be uncircumcised for you, it may not be eaten. In the first years, however, all of its fruit shall be dedicated to the Lord in joyous celebration. Not until the 5th year may you eat its fruit to increase the yield for you. I, the Lord, am your God. Do not eat anything with the blood still in it. Do not recite the charms or practice the soothsaying. Do not clip your hair at the temples, nor spoil the edge of your beard. Do not restaurate your body for the dead, and do not tattoo yourselves. I am the Lord. You shall not degrade your daughter by making a prostitute of her, or otherwise the land will prostitute itself and become full of lewdness. Keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to ghosts and consult the spirit by which you will be defiled. I, the Lord, am your God. Stand up in the presence of the aged, show the respect for the old, and fear your God. I am the Lord. When an alien resides with you in your land, do not molest him. You shall treat the alien who resides with you no differently than the native born among you. You shall love the alien as yourself. For you to rear on one's alien in the land of Egypt, I, the Lord, am your God. Do not act dishonestly in using measures of the length or weight or capacity. You shall have a true scale and a true weight, and honest alpha and honest hints. I, the Lord, am your God, who brought you out of the land Egypt. Be careful then to observe all my statutes and decrees. I am the Lord. Leviticus chapter 20, penalty for various sins. The Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelite, anyone, whether an Israelite or alien residing in Israel, who gives offspring to Molech shall be put to death. The people of the land shall stone that person. I myself will turn against and cut out that individual from among the people, for in the giving of the offspring to Molech, my sanctuary was defiled and my holy name was profaned. If the people of the land condone the giving of the offspring to the Molech by failing to put the wrongdoer to death, I myself will turn against the individual and his or her family, and I cut out from their people both the wrongdoer and all who follow this person by prostituting themselves with Molech. Should anyone turn to a ghost and spirit and prostitute oneself with them, I'll turn against that person and cut such a one out from among the peoples. Sanctify yourselves then and be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Be careful therefore to observe my statute. I, the Lord, make you holy. Anyone who curses a father or mother shall be put to death, and having cursed a father or mother, such a one will bear the blood guilt. If a man commit adultery with his neighbor's wife, both his adulterer and adulteress shall be put to death. If a man disgrace his father by lying with his father's wife, the two of them shall be put to death. Their blood guilt is upon them. If a man lies with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall be put to death. They have done what is proposed. Their blood guilt is upon them. If a man lies with a man as with a woman, they have committed an abomination. The two of them shall be put to death. Their blood guilt is upon them. If a man marry a woman and her mother also, there is shameful conduct. The man and the two women as well shall be burned to death, so that shamefulness may not be found among you. If a man has a sexual relation with an animal, the man shall be put to death, and you shall kill the animals. If a woman goes up to any animal to mate with it, you shall kill the woman and the animals, they shall both be put to death, their blood guilt is upon them. If a man marries his sister, his father, daughter, or his mother, daughter, and they have intercourse with each other, that is disgraceful. They shall be publicly cut out from the people. The man shall bear the penalty of having had intercourse with his own sister. If a man lies with a woman during her menstrual period and has intercourse with her, he has laid bare the source of her flow, and she has uncovered it. The two of them shall be cut out from the people. You shall not have intercourse with your mother's sister or your father's sister, because that dishonor one's own flesh. They shall bear their penalties. If a man lies with his uncle's wife, he disgraces his uncle. They shall bear the penalty. They shall die childless. If a man takes his brother's wife, it is a severe defilement, and he has disgraced his brother. They shall be childless. Be careful to observe all my statutes and all my decrees, otherwise the land where I am bringing you to dwell will vomit you out. Do not conform, therefore, to the custom of the nation who I am driving out of your way, because all these things that they have done have filled me with disgust for them. But to you I have said, you shall take possession of the land I am giving it to you to possess, a land flowing with milk and honey. I, the Lord, am your God, who have set you apart from other peoples. You too must set apart then the clean animals from the unclean, and the clean birds from the unclean, so that you do not make yourselves detestable through any beast, or birds, or any creature which creeps on the ground that I have set apart for you as unclean. To me, therefore, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord, am holy, and I have set you apart from other peoples to be my own. A man or a woman who act as a medium or a clairvoyant shall be put to death. They shall be stoned to death. Their blood guilt is upon them. Leviticus chapter 21, Sanctify of the priesthood. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to priest Aaron's sons, and tell them, None of you shall make himself unclean for any dead person among his kindred, except for his nearest relatives, his mother or father, his son or daughter, his brother, or his unmarried sister who is of his own family while she remains single. For these he may make himself unclean. But as a husband among his kindred, he shall not make himself unclean and thus profane himself. The priest shall not make bald the crown of their head, nor shave the edge of their beard, nor lacerate their body. They shall be holy to their God, and shall not profane their God named, since they offer oblation of the Lord, the food of the God, so they must be holy. A priest shall not marry a woman debased by prostitution, nor a woman who has been divorced by her husband, for the priest is holy to his God. Honor him as holy, for he offers the food of your God. He shall be holy to you, because I, the Lord, am holy, who make you holy. If a priest's daughter debases herself by prostitution, she thereby debases her father. She shall be burned with fire. The most exalted of the priest, upon whose head the anointing oil has been poured, and who has been ordained to wear the special vestment, shall not dishevel his hair and lend his garment. Nor shall he go near any dead person, not even for his father or mother, may he thus become unclean. Nor shall he leave the sanctuary and profane the sanctuary of his God, for the consecration of the anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am the Lord. He shall marry only a woman who is a virgin. He shall not marry a widow or a woman who has been divorced or one who has been debased by prostitution. But only a virgin taken from his kindred he shall marry, so that he not profane his offspring among his kindred. I, the Lord, make him holy. Priestly blasphemies. The Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron, none of your descendants throughout their generation who has any blemish shall come forward to offer the food of his God. Anyone who has any of the following blemishes may not come forward: he who is blind or lame, or who has a split lip, or a limb too long, or a broken leg or an arm, or who is hunchback or dwarf, or has a growth in the eye, or who is afflicted with sores, scabs, or crushed testicles. No descendant of Aaron, the priest, who has any such blemish may draw near to offer oblation of the Lord. On account of his blemish, he may not draw near to offer the food of his God. He may, however, eat the food of his God, of the most sacred as well as the sacred offering. Only he may not enter through the veil, nor draw near to the altar on account of his blemish. He shall not profane my sacred precincts, for it is I, the Lord, who make them holy. Moses therefore told this to Aaron and his son and to all the Israelites. Leviticus chapter 22, Priestly Purities. The Lord said to Moses to tell Aaron and his son to treat with respect the sacred offering which the Israelites consecrated to me. Otherwise, they will profane my holy name. I am the Lord. Tell them, if any one of you or of your descendants in my future generation there is while he is stated of the uncleanness, to draw near the sacred offering which the Israelites consecrate to the Lord, such a one shall be cut off from my presence. I am the Lord. No descendant of Aaron who is stricken with a scaly infection or who suffers from a genital discharge may eat up the sacred offering until he again becomes clean. Moreover, if anyone touches a person who has become unclean by contact with the corpse, or if anyone has had an emission of semen, or if anyone touches any swarming creature whose uncleanness is contagious, or any person whose uncleanness of whatever kind it may be is contagious, the one who touches such as this shall be unclean until evening, and may not eat up the sacred portion until he has first bathed his body in water. Then when the sun set, he shall be clean. Only then may he eat up the sacred offering, for they are his food. He shall not make himself unclean by eating of any animal that he died of himself. They shall keep my charge so that they will not bear the punishment in this matter and die for their profanation. I am the Lord who makes them holy. Neither an unauthorized person nor a priest, tenant, or laborers may eat up any sacred offering. But a slave whom a priest acquires by purchase, or who is born in his house, may eat up his food. A priest's daughter who is married to an unauthorized person may not eat up the sacred contributions. But if a priest's daughter is widowed or divorced and having no children, return to her father's house, she may then eat up her father's food as in her youth. No unauthorized person, however, may eat up it. If such a one eat up the sacred offering through inadvertence, that person shall make a restitution to the priest for the sacred offering, with an increment of 1/5 of the amount. The priest shall not allow the sacred offering which the Israelites contribute to the Lord to be profane, nor make them incur a penalty when they eat the sacred offering, for I the Lord make them holy, unacceptable victim. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to Aaron and his son and to all Israelites, and tell them, when any of the house of Israel and alien residing in Israel, who present an offering brings a burnt offering as a votive offering or as a voluntary offering to the Lord. If it is too acceptable for you, it must be an unblemished male of the herd of the sheep or of the goat. You shall not offer one that has any blemish, for such one would not be acceptable on your behalf. When anyone presents a communion sacrifice to the Lord from the herd or the flock in the fulfillment of the vow, or as a voluntary offering, if it is to find acceptance, it must be unblemished. It shall not have any blemish. One that is blind of the lame on the mind, or one that has a learning region or sores and the scalp, you shall not offer to the Lord. Do not put such an animal on the altar as an oblation to the Lord. An ox or a sheep that has a leg that is too long or is stunned, you may indeed present as a voluntary offering, but it will not be acceptable as a votive offering. One that has in testicles bruised and crushed or torn out or cut up, you shall not offer to the Lord. You shall neither do this in your own land, nor receive from a foreigner any such animals to offer up as a food of your God. Since they are deformed and blemished, they will not be acceptable on your behalf. The Lord said to Moses, When an ox and a lamb or a goat is born, it shall remain with its mother for 7 days. Only from the 8th days onward will it be acceptable to be offered as an oblation to the Lord. You shall not slaughter an ox and a sheep on one and the same day with its young. Whenever you offer a thanksgiving sacrifice to the Lord, so offer it that it may be acceptable on your behalf. It must be eaten on the same day. None of it shall be left over until morning. I am the Lord. Be careful to observe my commandment. I am the Lord. Do not profane my holy name, that in the midst of the Israelites I may be hallowed. I, Lord, make you holy, who led you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord. Leviticus chapter 23 is holy days. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to the Israelites and tell them, The following are the festivals of the Lord, which you shall declare holy days. These are my festivals. For 6 days work may be done, but the 7th day is Sabbath of the complete rest, declared holidays. You shall do no work. It is the Lord's Sabbath wherever you dwell. Passover. These are the festivals of the Lord, the holy days which you shall declare at their proper time. The Passover of the Lord falls on the 14th day of the first month at the evening twilight. The 15th day of this month is the Lord's feast of the unleavened bread. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first of these days you will have declared holy days. You shall do no heavy work. On each of 7 days you shall offer an oblation to the Lord. Then on 7th day you will have declared holy days. You shall do no heavy work. The Lord said to Moses, Speak to the Israelites and tell them, when you come into the land which I am giving you, and reap its harvest, you shall bring the first sheep of your harvest to the priest, who shall elevate the sheep before the Lord, that it may be acceptable on your behalf. On the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall do this. On this day, when your sheep is elevated, you shall offer to the Lord for the burnt offering unblemished yearling lamb. It grain offering shall be 2/10 of the ephah of the brown flour mixed with oil as a sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord, and its libation shall be a fourth of the hin of the wine. You shall not eat any bread and roasted grain or fresh kernels until this day when you bring the offering for your God. This shall be a perpetual statute throughout your generation wherever you dwell. Pentecost. Beginning with day after the Sabbath, the day on which you bring the sheep for the elevation, you shall count 7 full weeks. You shall count to the day after the 7th week 50 days, then you shall present a new grain offering to the Lord. For the elevated offering of the your first light from the fruit to the Lord, you shall bring with you from wherever you live 2 loaves of the bread, made up 2/10 of the ephah of the brown flour, and baked with leaven. Beside the bread you shall offer to the Lord a holocaust of the 7 unblemished yearling lambs, one young bull and 2 lambs, along with their cereal offering and libations, as a sweet-smelling oblation to the Lord. Male goat shall be sacrificed as a purification offering, and 2 yearling lambs as a communion sacrifice. The priest shall elevate them, that is, the 2 lambs, with the bread of the first ripened fruit as an elevated offering before the Lord. These shall be sacred to the Lord and belong to the priest. On this same day you shall make a proclamation. There shall be a declared holy day for you. No heavy work may be done. This shall be a perpetual statute through all your generations wherever you dwell. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not be so true that you reap the field to its very edge, nor shall you gather a gleaning of your harvest. These things you shall leave for your poor and the alien. I, the Lord, am your God. New Year's Days. The Lord said to Moses, tell Israel, on the first day of the 7th month you will have a Sabbath rest with the trumpet blast as a reminder, declare the holy days. You shall do no heavy work, and you shall offer an oblation to the Lord, the day of the atonement. The Lord said to Moses, now the 10th day of the 7th month is the day of the atonement. You will have declared the holy days. You shall humble yourself and offer oblation to the Lord. On this day you shall not do any work, because it is day of the atonement, when atonement is made for you before the Lord your God. Those who do not humble themselves on this day shall be cut off from the peoples. If anyone does any work on this day, I will remove that person from midst of the peoples. You shall do no work. This is a perpetual statute throughout your generation wherever you dwell. It is Sabbath of the complete rest for you. You shall humble yourselves. Beginning on the evening of the 9th of the month, you shall keep your Sabbath from evening to evenings, the feast of the booths. The Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites that the 15th day of this 7th month is the Lord's feast of the booths, which shall continue for 7 days. On the first day, to declare the holy days, you shall do no heavy work. For 7 days you shall offer oblation to the Lord, and on the 8 days you will have a declared holy days. You shall offer an oblation to the Lord. It is the festival closing. You shall do no heavy work. These therefore are the festival of the Lord, which you shall declare holy days, in order to offer as an oblation to the Lord, burnt offering and the grain offering, sacrifice and the libation as prescribed for each day. In addition to the Lord's Sabbath, your donation, your various votive offering, and the voluntary offering that you present to the Lord. On the 15th day then of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the produce of the land, you shall celebrate the feast of the Lord for a whole week. The first and the 8th days shall be days of rest. On the first day you shall gather fruit of the majestic trees, the branch of the palms, and the boughs of the leafy trees, and the valley willows. Then for a week you shall make merry before the Lord your God. You shall keep this feast of the Lord for 1 whole week in the years by perpetual statute throughout your generation. In the 7th month of the year you shall keep it. You shall dwell in booths for 7 days. Every native-born Israelite shall dwell in booths, that your descendants may realize that when I led Israel out of the land of Egypt, I made them dwell in booths. I, the Lord, am your God. Thus did Moses announce to the Israelites the festival of the Lord. Leviticus chapter 24, the sanctuary light. The Lord said to Moses, order the Israelites to bring you clear oil of crushed olives for the light, so that you may keep the lamp burning regularly. In a tent of the meeting outside the veil that hangs in front of the covenant, Aaron shall set up the lamp to burn before the Lord regularly, from evening till morning, by a perpetual statute throughout your generations. He shall set up the lamps on the gold menorah to burn regularly before the Lord, the showbread. You shall take the bran flour and bake it into 12 cakes, using 2/10 of the alpha of the flour for each cake. These you shall place into piles, 6 in each pile, on the gold table before the Lord. Which each pile put some pure frankincense, which shall serve as an oblation to the Lord, a token of the bread offering. Regularly on each Sabbath day, the bread shall be set out before the Lord on behalf of the Israelites by an everlasting covenant. It shall belong to Aaron and his sons, who must eat in a sacred place, since it most sacred. His as a perpetual due from the oblation to the Lord. Punishment of the blasphemy. A man born of the Israelites, the mother and an Egyptian father, went out among the Israelites, and at the camp a fight broke out between the son of the Israelite woman and an Israelite man. The son of Israelite woman uttered the Lord's name in the curse and blasphemed. So he was brought to the Moses. Now his mother's name was Shalomith, daughter of the Debris of the tribe of the Dan. And he was kept in custody till a decision from the Lord should settle the case for them. The Lord then said to Moses, take the breastplate outside the camp, and when all who heard him have laid their hands on his head, let the whole community stone him. Tell the Israelites that anyone who blasphemes God shall bear the penalties. Whoever utters the name of the Lord in a curse shall be put to death. To all community shall stone the person. Alien and native-born alike must be put to death for uttering the Lord's name in a curse. Whoever takes the life of any human being shall be put to death. Whoever takes the life of an animal shall make restitution of another animal, life for a life. Anyone who inflicts a permanent injury on his or her neighbor shall receive the same in return. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. The same injury that one gives another shall be inflicted in return. Whoever takes the life of the animal shall make restitution, but whoever takes a human life shall be put to death. You shall have but one rule for alien and native-born alike. I, the Lord, am your God. When Moses told this to the Israelites, they took the blasphemer outside the camp and stoned him. They did just as the Lord commanded Moses. Leviticus chapter 25, the sabbatical year. The Lord said to Moses on Mount Sinai, speak to Israel and tell them, when you enter the land I am giving you, let the land to keep a Sabbath for the Lord. For 6 years you may sow your field, and for 6 years prune your vineyard, gathering in their produce. But during the 7th year the land shall have a Sabbath for the complete rest, a Sabbath for the Lord, when you may neither sow your field nor prune your vineyard. The aftergrowth of your harvest you shall not reap, nor shall you pick the grape of your untrimmed vine. It shall be a year of the rest for the land. While the land has its Sabbath, all its produce will be food to eat for yourself, and for your male and female slave, for your laborer and the tenant who live with you, and likewise for your livestock and for the wild animals on your land. The Jubilee years. You shall count the 7 weeks of the years, 7 times 7 years, such that the 7 weeks for years amount to 49 years. Then on the 10th day of the 7th month, let the ram's horn resound. On this the day of the atonement, the ram's horn blast shall resound throughout your land. You shall treat this 50th year as sacred. You shall proclaim liberty in the land for all its inhabitants. It shall be jubilee for you, when each of you shall return to your own property, each of you to your own families. This 50th year is your year of the jubilee. You shall not sow, nor shall you reap the aftergrowth or pick the untrimmed vines. Since this is a jubilee, it shall be sacred for you. You may only eat what the field is of itself. In this year of the jubilee, then each of you shall return to your own properties. Therefore, when you shall enter into your neighbor or buy any from your neighbor, do not deal unfairly with one another. On the basis of the number of the years since the last jubilee, you shall purchase the land from your neighbors, and so also on the basis of the number of the year of the harvest, that person shall set it to you. When the years are many, the price shall be so much the more. When the years are few, the price shall be so much the less. For it is really the number of the harvest that the person sells you. Do not deal unfairly with one another, then, but stand in fear of your God. I, Lord, am your God. Observe my statute and be careful to keep my ordinance, so that you will dwell securely in the land. The land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill, and live there securely. And if you say, what shall we eat in the 7th year, if you do not sow and reap our crops? I command such a blessing for you in 6 years, that there will be crop enough for 3 years. And when you sow in the 8th years, you will still be eating from old crop. Even into the 9th year, until the crop comes in, you will still be eating from old crop. Redemption of the properties. The land shall not be sold irrevocably, for the land is mine, and you are but a resident alien and under my authorities. Therefore, in every part of the country that you occupy, you must permit the land to be redeemed. When one of your kindred is reduced to poverty and has to sell some property, that person closes the relatives, who has the duty of the redeemed, shall come and redeem what the relative has sold. If, however, the person has no relative to redeem it, but later on acquires sufficient means to redeem it, the person shall calculate the years since the seller returned the balance to one to whom it was sold, and thus regain the properties. But if the person does not acquire sufficient means to buy back the land, what was sold shall remain in the possession of the purchaser until the year of the Jubilee, when it must be released and returned to the original owners. When someone sells a dwelling in a walled town, it can be redeemed up to a full year after it's sold. The redemption period is 1 year. But if such a house in a walled town has not been redeemed at the end of the full year, it shall belong irrevocably to the purchase throughout the generation. It shall not be released in Jubilee. However, houses in a village that are not encircled by walls shall be reckoned as part of the surrounding farmland. They may be redeemed, and in Jubilee they must be released. In Levitical cities, the Levite shall always have the right to redeem the house in the city that are in their possession. As for Levitical property that goes unredeemed, the houses sold in the city of their possession shall be released in the Jubilee. For the houses in the Levitical cities are their possession in the midst of the Israelites. Moreover, the pasture land that belong to their city shall not be sold at all. It must always remain their possession. When one of your kindred is reduced to poverty as becomes indebted to you, you shall support that person like a resident alien. Let your kindred live with you. Do not exact interest in advance or accrue the interest, but out of fear of the God, let your kindred live with you. Do not give your money at interest or your food at a profit. I, the Lord, am your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of the Canaan and to be your God. When your kindred with you, having been so reduced to poverty, shall themselves to you, do not make them work as slaves. Or rather, let them be like rebels or like your tenant working with you until Jubilee years. When together with any children, they shall be released from your service and return to their family and to their ancestral properties. Since they are my servants whom I brought out of the land of Egypt, they shall not sell themselves as slaves are sold. Do not lord it over them harshly, but stand in fear of your God. The men and the female slaves that you possess, these you shall acquire from the nation round about you. You may also acquire them from among the resident aliens who reside with you, and from their family who are with you. Those whom they are born in your land, these you may possess, and bequeath to your children as their hereditary possession forever. You may treat them as slaves, but none of you shall lord it harshly over any of your fellow Israelites. When your kindred, having sinned to so reduced to poverty, shall themselves to a resident alien who has become wealthy, or to the descendant of the resident alien families, even after having sold themselves, they still may be redeemed by one of their kindred, by an uncle or cousin, or by some other relative from their family, or having acquired the means, they may pay the redemption price themselves. With their purchase, they shall compute the year from the sale to the Jubilee, distributing the sale price over these years as though they have been hired as laborers. The more years these are, the more of the sale price they shall pay back as the redemption price. The 4 years they are before the Jubilee years, the more they have as a credit. In proportion to the year of the service, they shall pay the redemption price. The tenant alien shall treat those who sold themselves as a laborer hired on an annual basis, and the alien shall not lord it over them harshly before your very eyes. And if they are not redeemed by these means, they shall nevertheless be released, together with any children in the Jubilee year. For the Israelites that belong to me as servants, they are my servants who I brought out of the land of Egypt, I, the Lord your God. Leviticus chapter 26, the reward of the obedience. Do not make an idol for yourself. You shall not erect a carved image or a sacred stone for yourselves. Nor shall you set up a carved stone for worship in your land, for I, the Lord, am your God. Keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you live in accordance with my statute and are careful to observe my commandment, I will give you your rains in due season, so that when you yield its crops and treat their fruit, your threshing will last till vintage time, and your vintage till the time of the first sowing, and you will eat your food and live securely in your land. I'll establish peace in the land, and you will lie down to rest with no one to cause you anxiety. I'll rid the country of the ravenous beast, and no sword shall sweep across your land. You will allow your enemies, and they shall fall before your sword. 5 of you will put 100 of your foes to flight, and 100 of you put to flight 10,000, till your enemy fall before your sword. I look with favor upon you and make you fruitful and numerous as I carry out my covenant with you. You shall eat the oldest stored harvest and have to discard it to make room for the new. I will set my tabernacle in your midst and will not loathe you. Ever present in your midst, I will be your God, and you will be my peoples. I, the Lord, am your God, and brought you out of the land Egypt to be their slaves no more, breaking the bars of your yoke and making you walk erect. The punishment of the disobedience. But if you do not heed me and do not keep all these commandments, if you reject my statute and loathe my decrees, refusing to obey all my commandments and breaking my covenant, then I in turn will do this to you. I will bring terror upon you with consumption and fever to dim the eyes and set the life. Will sow your seed in vain, for your enemies will consume the crops. I will turn against you, and you will be beaten down before your enemies, and your foes will lord it over you. You will flee, though no one pursues you. If even after this you do not obey me, I will increase the chastisement for your sins sevenfold. To break your proud strength, I will make the sky above you as hard as iron, and your soil as hard as bronze, so that your strength will be spent in vain. Your land will bear no crops, and its trees no fruits. If then you continue hostile, unwilling to obey me, I will multiply my blows sevenfold as your sins deserve. I unleash wild beasts against you to rob you of your children and wipe out your livestock till your population dwindles away and your roads become deserted. If with all this you still do not accept my discipline and continue hostile to me, I too will continue to hostile to you, and I for my part will smite you for your sins sevenfold. I will bring against you the sword, the offense of my covenant, though you then huddle together in your cities. I'll send the pestilence among you till you are delivered to the enemy. When I break your step of the bread, 10 women will need but 1 oven for baking your bread, and they shall dole it out to you by weight, and though you eat, you shall not be satisfied. If despite all this you disobey and continue hostile to me, I will continue in my hostile rage toward you, and I myself will discipline you for your sins sevenfold. Till you begin to eat the flesh of your own sons and daughters, I'll demolish your high places, overthrow your incense stand, and cast your curse upon your corpse of your idols in my loathing of you. I lay waste your cities and desolate your sanctuaries, refusing your sweet-smelling offering. So devastated will I leave the land, that your enemies who come to live there will stand aghast at the sight of it. And I will scatter among the nations at the point of my drawn sword, leaving your countryside desolate and your cities deserted. Then shall the land during the time it lies waste make up its roast Sabbaths, while you are in the land of your enemies. Then shall the land have rest and make up for its Sabbaths. During all the time that it lies desolate, enjoying the rest that you would not let it have on your Sabbaths when you live there. Those of you who survive in the hands of the enemies, I will make no faint-hearted, that the sound of the driven leaf will pursue them. And they shall run as if from the sword and fall, though no one pursue them, stumbling over one another as if to escape the sword, while no one is after them. So helpless will you be take a stand against your foes. You shall perish among the nations, swallowed up in your enemies' countries. Those of you who survive will waste away in the land of their enemies for their own and their ancestors' guilt. They will confess the iniquity and the iniquity of the ancestors in their treachery against me and in the continued hostility toward me, so that I too had to be hostile to them and bring them into their enemies' land. Then when their uncircumcised hearts are humbled and they are amends for their iniquities, I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham. I remember the land too. I remember. The land will be forsaken by them, that in its desolation without them it may make up its Sabbaths, and that they too may make good the debt of their guilt for having spurned my decrees and eroded my statutes. Yet even so, even while they are in the enemy's land, I will not reject or load them to the point of wiping them out, thus making void my covenant with them, for I the Lord am their God. I remember for them the covenant I made with their forebears, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt before the eyes of the nation, that I might be their God. I am the Lord. These are the statutes, the decrees, and the laws which the Lord established between himself and the Israelites through Moses on Mount Sinai. Leviticus chapter 27, votive offering and dedication. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, when anyone makes a vow to the Lord with respect to the value of the human being, the value for males between the age of 20 and 60 shall be 50 silver shekels by the sanctuary shekels, and for a female the value shall be 30 shekels. For a person between the age of 5 and 20, the value for the male shall be 20 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. For a person between the age of 1 month and 5 years, the value for male shall be 5 silver shekels, and for female 3 shekels. For a person of 60 or more, for male the value shall be 15 shekels, and 10 shekels for female. However, if the one who made the vow is too poor to meet the sum, the person must be set before the priest, who shall determine a value. The priest will do this in keeping with the means of the one who made the vow. If the offering vow to the Lord is an animal that may be sacrificed, every such animal given to the Lord becomes sacred. The offerer shall not substitute or exchange another for it, either worse or a better one. If the offerer exchanges on one animal in place of another, both an original and its substitute shall become sacred. If any unclean animal which is unfit for sacrifice to the Lord is vowed, it must be set before the priest, who shall determine its value in keeping with its good or bad qualities, and the value set by the priest shall stand. If the offerer wishes to redeem the animals, the person shall pay 1/5 more than these valuations. If the offerer wishes to redeem the animals, the person shall pay 1/5 more than this valuation. When someone dedicates the house as sacred to the Lord, the priest shall determine its value in keeping with its good or bad qualities, and the value set by the priest shall stand. A person dedicating a house who then wishes to redeem it shall pay 1/5 more than the price thus established, and then it will again belong that individual. If someone dedicates to the Lord a portion of the hereditary land, its valuation shall be made according to the amount of the seed required to sow it. The acreage sown with the home of the barley seed being valued at 50 silver shekels. If the dedication of the field is made at the beginning of the Jubilee period, the full valuation shall hold. But if it is sometime after this, the priest shall estimate its money value according to the number of the years left until the next Jubilee years, with a corresponding reduction on the valuation. A person dedicating a field who then wishes to redeem it shall pay 1/5 more than the price thus established and so reclaim it. If instead of redeeming such a field, one sells it to another, it may no longer be redeemed. But at the Jubilee it shall be released as a sacred to the Lord, like a field that is put under the ban. It shall become priestly properties. If someone dedicated to the Lord a field that was purchased and was not part of the hereditary properties, the priest shall compute its value in proportion to the number of the years until the next Jubilee. And on the same day, the person shall pay the price thus established, a sacred donation to the Lord. At the Jubilee, the field shall revert to the hereditary owner of this land from whom it had been purchased. Every valuation shall be made according to the standard of the sanctuary shekels. There are 20 gerahs to the shekels. Irredeemable offerings. Note that a firstborn animal, which as such already belongs to the Lord, may not be dedicated, whether an ox or a sheep, it is the Lord's. But if it is an unclean animal, it may be redeemed by paying 1/5 more than its value. If it is not redeemed, it shall be sold at its value. Note also that any possession which someone put under the ban for the Lord, whether it is human beings, an animal, or hereditary affairs, shall be neither sold nor redeemed. Everything that is put under the ban becomes most holy to the Lord. All human beings that are put under the ban cannot be redeemed. They must be put to death. All tithe of the land, whether in grain from the field or in fruit from the trees, belong to the Lord. They are sacred to the Lord. If someone wishes to redeem any of the tithe, the person shall pay 1/5 more than their value. The tithe of the herd and the flock, every 10th animal that passes under the herdsman's rod, shall be sacred to the Lord. It shall not matter whether good ones or bad ones are thus chosen, and no exchange may be made. If any exchange is made, both the original animal and its substitute become sacred and cannot be redeemed. These are commandments which the Lord gave Moses on the mountain Sinai for the Israelites.